Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me, as always, is my good buddy.
This is Ryan.
And this is episode number 12, and we are wrapping up Final Fantasy VIII. Not too much news in the week, so let's just jump right into it, man. I believe last time we left off, we had just defeated the sorceress in Galabadia Garden, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I think it was either there or I was just a little bit past that. Like I think I was coming up on having to go find the seed chip.
That's right. So basically, after all this happens, and Ultimacia has now left Adia. So Adia is back to being her normal self, which everyone calls the matron, which you know at this point.
Yeah.
And you have to go and find her at her house, and she directs you to go find this siege ship, and she gives you these like I think it's a letter, and I think she gives you an item too. But the letter is basically that once you get on the siege ship, you can present this to them, and they will know that you're actually serious and not just there for whatever. Because you're going to try to find Elone. Because at this point, Renoa is unconscious. Squall can't figure out what the fuck's wrong with her, and he thinks that Elone can go back in time so he can watch and see what happens to her.
Yeah.
So you head back to Balam Garden, and you head to the infirmary. And once you're in the infirmary, you sit down, and Squall kind of starts talking to Renoa as she's laying there, and he's basically confesses his love, that he realizes that he's in love with her.
Yeah. Squall finally realizing emotions are a normal thing. Right.
Yeah, man. He's been a pretty tough cookie this entire game.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty long character build for him, story build for him, like just being a monotonous emo kid all the way through until this point. Like,
Yeah. So he starts to hear this really high pitched noise, and he's like, "Ah, fuck, not now."
yeah,
It just face plants in his bed.
God damn it.
And you take over as Laguna, and it shows you this little cutscene with Elone as a little girl, and he's hugging her because he is going off for some reason or not. Oh no, I'm sorry, that comes later. This is the cutscene where it shows Laguna and Kyros, and they're on that set, and the director comes running up to them, and is like, "Hey guys, Kyros, we need you to go get into costume and be ready for the battle." Laguna's all dressed up like a knight, and he's got a sword. Stuff, and they're like, "We need you to get into place, and we'll be ready to shoot this thing." So apparently, they are trying to shoot a movie to make some side cash. And you start, like, the screen does this rumble, and you hear this roar type,
Yeah.
and then this big ass fucking dragon starts walking down the cliff, and the director's like, "Man, Kyros, that costume looks amazing."
Yeah. I always loved this part of the game. Just the random, like, let's shoot a movie with these characters. Like,
So strange.
yeah, in typical Japanese style, it's like a kaiju movie, too.
Oh yeah, of course. So it goes into this little, like, mini game where you can attack or defend, and there's the dragon's HP and your HP. And in my experience, dude, mash attack. Do not give that dragon a chance to do shit.
Yeah.
Because defending doesn't work, and he's gonna fuck you up. But if he does hit you, Laguna's like, "Kyros, damn man, not so hard. We're just acting." So this little mini game completes, and Laguna kind of backs up a little bit, and the dragon jumps away, and Kyros kind of shows up. And you guys are like, "That wasn't you?" Kyros is like, "No, that wasn't me."
Here's
So
like, I was in the bathroom the whole time. Who the fuck is that guy?
So you guys have to go, and actually this time it's an actual fight, and that's
Yeah.
where you fight the ruby dragon.
Yep. And this dragon, there's some little hidden things about this dragon that you can do. Is which one is it? Tonberry that gets the level up, level down feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can, if you hit the ruby dragon with the level ups high enough, you can start pulling some decent magic from him on draw. You can get like meteor and shit from him.
Really?
But don't forget to drop those levels back down unless you want a shit ton of experience points.
Yes,
Yeah.
give me all the
And then
experience.
to avoid getting hit for brutal damage because you're raising the levels of the dragons, the ruby dragon is very susceptible to sleep. So just knock his ass out, draw, pop those levels back down, do it
That's a
up.
good fucking idea.
Yeah.
I never thought about doing. I never used level up and level down.
Yeah,
I should.
yeah, if I forget to keep my levels low and I end up jacking up my squall level, getting them high in level, I always use the level down because the whole game the monsters scale to your level, and if you don't want a tough fight, hit them with that level down. Hit them with that level down. Like,
Yeah, don't be like me and finish the game at level 100 because
yeah,
then everything
no,
is gonna kick your ass.
that is like the opposite of what you want to do with this game.
It really is. It really is, and it's like it's ingrained in me to grind in JRPGs. So even
Yeah,
this one that I know I'm not supposed to, I'm like, oh,
yeah. You catch yourself grinding, you
let's
end
go
up
hit the
level.
islands,
Yeah.
and I just end up Squall's 100, Zell's level 88, everybody else is like level 70.
I think I finished at like level 32.
Well,
I use that card. I use that card and just even though I have like multiples and duplicates of all the cards because I just use it all the time to avoid experience points.
yeah.
I mod those cards into lower level magics and shit. Like,
Well, I'll admit that I had a little bit of help because I put on the ×3 speed, and then for those on video, this controller that I have,
yeah.
this button right here, is a turbo button, and I activated that on A, and I would just run around, and it would go into a battle, and it would just attack, and it would just do it for me. So I was watching WWE Raw like from like 2000, and I was just making my characters run around, and then they would win, and then I'd make them run around, and they'd win, and then I'd heal them, and they'd run around. So I watched like 2 episodes of Raw while doing that. So I racked up so much experience just
Yeah.
fucking around.
You should have went you should have did that on Cactar Island to get all that AP instead of the experience.
I had already done that on disc 2.
Yeah.
Once you got Balam Garden,
Yeah.
I think we mentioned
But
there's like
you
one,
pick up
one little
you pick
section.
up more GFs after that though. You should have went and fucking powered all them up. Like,
Yeah, I mean I did. Don't get me wrong. Like
yeah.
when I got Bahamut, I hit there
Yeah.
and did a couple of his things to get Mug because I wanted Mug on 2 different people.
Yeah.
And then after that, I didn't really worry about Cactar Island anymore.
Yeah.
Once I got Eden, I was pretty much at the end of the game, so I didn't really worry about leveling Eden up much.
Yeah,
Eden's sweet,
once you get Eden, the only thing left to do is go finish the game. Like,
pretty much, unless you haven't done Odin or anything like that yet.
yeah.
Which there are some people who say that you should wait and get Odin until after that fight with Cypher, where normally Odin dies, because people say that Odin is a guaranteed kill when he pops up. Gilgamesh is not always a guaranteed kill.
Odin has a pretty high. He's not like. It's powerful. He's more likely to come out towards the end of a battle when your opponent is low HP than he is to hit for high damage. So
Well,
he
that's
waits.
Gilgamesh.
Odin does the same thing.
I've only ever had Odin pop at the beginning of a
Oh
battle.
no,
Really?
that was like the opposite for me. Odin always shows up at the
Huh.
end for me.
Interesting. No, like most of mine, like I would go into a battle, and it would show my characters, and then they would just disappear, and it would show Odin, and then it would show the enemies in half, and I'm like, all right, easy experience. So after you beat the Ruby Dragon, you wake back up as Squall, and yeah, this is where you have to go find the White Seed ship. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. You go and find the White Seed ship, and it is hidden. It is well hidden. Adia kind of gives you vague area where it's at, like where they
Yeah.
like to hide. But other than that, it's a pain in the ass to find. In fact, during this playthrough, I got lost and couldn't find it. I've played this game 100 times up to the Ultimace's castle,
Yeah.
but I could not remember where the fuck it was at.
Yeah. It's
But-
it's a bitch. Like, especially if you don't really pay attention when you're playing it for the first couple of times and really doing it. I can find it with my eyes closed now. Like I've played this game so many times. Like this playthrough with every time I did get the chance to sit down and play was essentially like a speed run for me. Let's like with the times 3 feature on the remaster, and it's like, all right, how fast can I get through this game? Like,
Oh yeah, that times 3 feature was so nice. Oh
yeah.
my god.
I mean, if you're gonna pick up this game for the first time ever, don't use that feature. Actually, play the game. Like, go through it as it's meant to be because there's some
Absolutely.
good story. Like, I know the storyline. I skip the dialogue. I skip the dialogue on most of the games I play anyway. Fuck, just give me the gameplay. Like,
One of the ways that I can actually recommend if you just want to experience the story in this game is another one of the things from the version that's out now, the remaster, is you can click both of your thumbsticks at one time and it turns off random encounters. And there's only a couple different places on the map where you will still encounter random encounters, like
mm-hmm.
on the way down to Ultima Weapon at the
Yeah.
bottom of the deep sea research facility.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, like when you're running around in the overworld and stuff, if you click those two things, no enemies, so you can just run around and experience the story for the
That's
most
pretty
part if you want
cool
to.
because you can do that with Diablos too. I think it's Diablos.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
gets the encounter half and encounter none.
Yeah.
But this just makes it where you don't have to take up an ability slot to use it,
Yeah.
which is nice. I know I used to use encounter half all the time because I still wanted some experience, but my goodness, it's some of those places feel like every 3 steps was a battle.
Boo, experience bad. This game now, having played so many games since it's been out and everything like that, it still blows my mind that this game is like the only game that does not want you to actually gain experience. Like it is counter to like pretty much every RPG style game out there where you want to grind and beef up your character to max out your stats and shit. This game is like, no, don't do that. Like,
Well, yeah, and another thing it took a departure from is that this game, you don't get armor.
yeah.
Like you don't have armor to upgrade. You don't have much of anything other than just junctioning and upgrading your weapons.
Yep.
Yeah. So okay, so once you find the White Seed ship, you guys hop on, and they're like, "What are you here for?" They're like, "Hey, we're here. We need to see Ellen or Alone. I don't know how to say her name. Alone.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. And they are like, "Oh, well, in that case, fuck off." And then they just walk away and kind of leave you guys there like, well, what just happened here? So you guys kind of wander around the ship and you find Zone and Watts. And you can talk to them and let them know what's going on with Renoa. And is it Zone? Yeah, I think it's Zone. Flips out on you. Like, you were supposed to protect her.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. It's Zone with the stomach problems, right?
Yeah, my
Yeah,
stomach.
yeah.
Oh.
It's him. He flips out and yells at you. And you're like, motherfucker, that's why I'm here, is to try to save her. Get off my fucking dick. And he's like, my stomach.
Yeah.
And he runs up. So you can run over to Watts, and at this point, you have a choice. You can either keep the Girl Next Door magazine that you found earlier in the game, or you can trade it to Watts for free, and he will give you a Shiva card
Mm-hmm.
in exchange for it. It's kind of up to you. You can get that Shiva card elsewhere.
Is it
If you
Watts
did-
or is it Zone? I think
it's
it's.
Watts.
I think it. You might be
It
right.
might-
It's been a couple days since I did it.
Yeah, me too. I've slept a bunch since then.
Huh.
Well, actually, not really, but that's besides the point. So you make your way to talk to the captain,
Mm-hmm.
and you show him the letter, and he reads it. He's like, "Well, this is Matron's, or this is Adia's handwriting. This is her signature. All right, you guys seem legit. Alone's not here." You're like, "What do you mean Dave's not here, man?" He's like, "Yeah, she's not here.
We need to go
that's
through
the-
all these standard security protocols. I need to verify your name, your social security number, your current employer, your last 5 previous addresses, your blood type, your mother's maiden name, by the way, she's not here.
Yeah, basically. And you're like, all right, well, what the fuck happened? It's like, well, an Estar ship showed up, and she just willingly kind of got on there with him. And you're like, what? You just let it? Did you just let her happen? What? And then she was like, she told us to trust her. So I was like, whatever. So I would go check, wherever Esther was at. So this prompts you to go to Fisherman's Horizon, because those were people who were um, not exiled, but they chose to leave
Yeah.
Esther to start their own thing, as explained, when you were there. So you head there, and you're carrying Renoa on your back, and you're walking, and Squall's kind of having this dialogue about like, oh, I can't wait for you to wake up. Things are gonna get back to normal. We're gonna beat the sorceress. We're gonna do this, yada yada yada. And then he sits her down, and he sits down, and he's looking out at the sunset. And he's like, what if I can't do this? What if I'm just a piece? What if I'm just a piece of shit?
Yeah.
What, what if I fail and the whole world gets destroyed? Oh, all this weight on my shoulders.
It's like what he's wanted though. Like,
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So he's like, no, I have to do it for Renault. So he gets up and you go over and you click on her and you picks her back up and you keep walking, because Fisherman's Horizon's like attached to this long fucking bridge, and you're basically just walking down that, and eventually you get to like this little train station, and your group catches up with you, to which Adia is with them, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna come help. So at this point you could put her in your party if you'd like. I never used her, but she was there for a little bit.
yeah. I never really used her much either. Like majority of the game, I was running around with Quistis and Selfie.
Solid team.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, you guys just keep walking and keep walking and keep walking, and then you come across. That's where you come up on the Salt Lake, I think, the Great Salt Lake,
Yeah, the Great Salt Lake.
and you hit this button, and like this wavy thing happens. Oh no, I'm sorry. On your way there, that's where you run into the Abaddon or Abaddon,
Yeah.
Abaddon, whatever it's called. And,
Abaddon, Abaddon, something.
I
There's
know
no like. There's nowhere to actually get the pronunciations for these.
Nope, no
For
voice acting.
no voice acting, and like no confirmation from like the creators or anything too. It's like big debate on it, on like even Seed. Is it Seed? Is it CD? Is it Abaddon? Is it Abaddon? Is it Alone? Is it Alone? Like, there's no confirmation on pronunciations for this game.
Is it
It's
Squall? Is it Squall?
it's Squall.
Squall! Squall Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So Abaddon,
Yeah.
Mr. A is undead. So I wasted no time with hitting that motherfucker with a phoenix down, moving on with my goddamn life.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah. Just any undead, just hit them with that.
wait.
Because the undead creatures can give you a little. They can be a little bit of a challenge. They hitting
Oh,
you
yeah,
with
dude.
all the different status effects and everything like that. Like,
Especially you run into one that can like
Yeah.
hit you with bio and stuff that'll like poison you. And
yeah,
it-
if
not
you want the XP and everything like that, go for it. But they're not worth the time. Just hit them with that potion or that Phoenix down and be on your way.
for sure. You can also cast full life on them
Yeah,
too if you
that-
have full life.
yeah, that-
Although I can't recommend casting magic in this game until like Ultimace's Castle.
Yeah,
'Cause then
I
really
would.
you don't need it.
Yeah, they stock up. There's really no point for magic up until that point, because if you, we'll get to it when we talk about it, but it is a brutal stretch of play at
Yeah,
that
it
point,
is.
and you're going to need everything that you can. Like,
Yeah, you're gonna want to hope that you stocked up on some Ultimas, for sure. So after you beat the undead creature, you guys are keep walking, and this is where you see like there's just a button, and they're like, well, what the fuck is this here for? So you hit it, and it's like this wave of weird particles and stuff, and then just boom, there's a giant fucking super technologically advanced city that's just hidden behind some kind of camouflage. And you're like, well, son of a bitch, this must be Esther. So you enter, and you have to go talk to the doctor. And the doctor's like, I think, is he supposed to be Russian?
It's
Or French maybe? Like,
it's something like that, yeah.
because he's like, this is not the time. Or it might even be German. I don't know. But that's how he talks, you know. And he's like, yes, I think I can help you. What seems to be the problem? It's very interesting to read.
Yeah.
And I believe you drop Renoa off. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is where they're like, yeah, we need to send her into space to our, I don't know if it's like a space colony. It's like, you know, like a space station type place. And I think that's where Alone's at. So you want to take Renoa, and then you get to pick one other party member, and I chose Quistis to shoot up there with you, so you can take Renoa to Alone and try to get her to figure out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, up to lunar base.
Yeah, so you split the party, and then Selfie, and Irvine I had left over were chilling around, and this is where you guys get shot up, and then it cuts back to your other party, and there is this giant fucking pillar thing just kind of floating across Estar.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what in the fuck? The doctor's like, oh, that's Lunatic Pandora. And I don't remember exactly why, because like you said, it's been a few days, but you have to get on it. So he basically tells you, all right, so you have 3 points of entry. 1 point will be at 15 minutes, 1 point will be at 10 minutes, 1 point will be at 5 minutes. You have 20 minutes total. So basically you have 5 minutes to get to the first place.
Yeah.
So I just hauled ass there and ran around killing enemies until the thing showed up at 15 minutes, and then just hopped on it.
Yeah.
And then you'll kind of recognize it, because this is like the place that Laguna was in one of the flashbacks where he was a prisoner.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That was in Esther City. No, Lunatic Pandora is when you guys are running around, and it's you, Kuros, and Ward, and you're going through all the tunnels, and like you had to do the flipping the switches or messing with the trap doors and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That was inside of Lunatic Pandora. So you I don't remember exactly what you do in there. I think you run around and kill some enemies.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm
like,
blanking. So
it's like pretty much it.
And then it switches back over to, I think they get kicked off of it or something like that. Anyway, it gets switched back up to the people in the space.
Yeah.
And they turn you guys are floating around in the anti-gravity room. They turn gravity back on and pick up Renoa, carry her to the infirmary. And then people tell you, like, oh yeah, Ellen's in this room if you want to go find her. So you got to go run up these stairs, go through a couple areas, and there she is. And you start talking to her, and she's kind of just basically like, I don't know Renoa. Like, I can't just send you back in time. And he goes, well, I brought her with me. If you can come, like, touch her or look at her, maybe that'll do something. Fiddle her. I don't care. Do something.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, we can give it a try. So on your way, Renoa, like, gets up and starts, like, swaying back and forth, and has this really weird color thing that they're doing, like giving her trails, and you start hearing that creepy sorceress music. You're like, oh shit. And she is like, somebody comes up and they're like, hey, what are you doing? And she just like swipes her hand through the air, and they just smash into the fucking wall.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That was a pretty cool scene and everything.
She slowly is making her way, and Squall finds her, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And at this same time, the people in the control room are watching this giant, like, amalgamation storm-looking thing on the moon gather, and it's like all of these monsters and this big, like, it looks like the storm cloud on Saturn.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a giant fucking tunnel of them just starts shooting towards Earth, and it shows that they are getting shot to Lunatic Pandora, where it is now hovering over the Sorceress Memorial, and there's a bunch of shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
So Squall is following Renoa at a distance because he can't get close to her, and he follows her into the lock bay, and she's in a spacesuit in the airlock, getting ready to go the fuck outside.
Yeah.
And Squall was like, "Oh shit!" So he's running around. You're running around trying to find a spacesuit, and this whole time, like, Renoa is out in space, drifting towards the sorcerer's cell up in space, which is the sorcerer Adele.
Yeah, Adele.
And Squall's like, "Fuck! I have to save her.
Yep.
God damn it!" He's like regretting having a heart. I feel like now.
Yeah.
And
He's like, God damn it! Why did I catch these feels? Like, this is not what I signed up for.
So Renoa makes her way to the sorcerer and like puts her hand on the thing, and that thing just like unseals and falls to earth. Well, he falls. The sorcerer falls to earth, and then Renoa is kind of just floating there in space. And this is where you take over as Squall, and you have to go out into space and save her.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I wouldn't really call this a mini game. I guess it might be considered a mini game. You see Renoa floating off in the distance, and you kind of have to line yourself up with her, and then use your boosters to reach her in a certain amount of time, without using all of your boosters.
Yeah.
And then you catch up to her. They embrace. There's like this whole little romantic scene where they're looking at each other through the space glass and all that. And then Squall's like, "Well, is this how it's gonna end? We're running out of oxygen. Are we just gonna die holding each other in fucking space?"
Yeah.
And he looks and he sees the Ragnarok, which is just kind of there. And he's like, "Well, hey, it's a ship."
Yeah.
So he uses the rest of his little boosters to shoot him over there. Now, this is where the game really opens up once you get control of the Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's definitely. If you're missing anything at this point, need to go back to do anything, like, this point in the game is when to do it, because the Ragnarok is awesome for that.
Totally. Real quick, I left a little space there for a second. Check your Audacity and make sure it's still going.
Yeah.
Just to check.
Let's see what we got. Still going.
Okay.
Still going.
Okay, just wanted to check.
Yep.
Okay. So, once you're in the Ragnarok, how did you eventually figure out? Did you kind of put it together yourself, or did you have to find the computer originally, like your first playthrough, that told you how to kill all those creatures?
I had to find the computer to kill all those creatures on my first playthrough. Yeah.
Well, I think I had the official strategy guide, so I might have been reading that. But even still, I never would have known.
Yeah.
You had, so there are 8 creatures in total, and there are 2 of each color. So there's 2 purple, 2 gold, 2 green, 2 red.
Yeah.
And you have to kill both of the same color. Like, if you kill a purple one and then you kill a yellow one, that purple one's back alive.
Yeah.
You have to kill a purple one and then find the other purple one and kill that one.
Yeah.
Then they go away. And you have to do that with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But once you do that, you can make your way to the command center room, and Squall tries to, like, contact somebody, and they're like, "Hello? Ragnarok?" Squall's like, hey, can you hear us? Holy shit, we haven't heard from this ship in like 16 years. Is anybody alive?
Yeah,
No.
they're just like, who dis? New number, who dis?
No, if you can believe it, we were just floating in space and found this fucking ship.
Yeah.
Everyone on it's dead because there were these weird creatures inside of it, but we took care of those. Oh, well, feel free to come land. Thanks. We could be aliens ready to kill you guys, but we appreciate the hospitality.
Right.
So you guys drive it back down to Earth, and this is where you can, like we said, this is where any side quest that you want to do, you're open to all of them, because this Ragnarok can raise up and down, which is fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
So you fly back to Esther, and this is where you meet up. Everybody gathers back together, and the president of Estar wants to see you. So you...
This fucking guy.
So you walk in, and you see these two dudes in like these robes standing there, and I think it's Squall's like, that looks like Kyros and Ward. Oh wait, that means, and the mayor turns around and it's Laguna, and he's like, "Hey everybody," and I think Squall does the like put his head down and
Yeah, he does the
grab the forehead touch like, and Laguna starts giving you the rundown on what's happening, and I'm just gonna summarize it for you all. It's basically they need to seal Renoa because she is a danger. They hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. That happens when you first land on the Ragnarok.
yeah.
When you're in the Ragnarok, they're like, we need you to come down here and land because Renoa's a sorceress now. We need to lock her up.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, that I guess that's fine. Renoa accepts her fate in this cutscene.
Yeah, that part is kind of fucking dumb to me because all of this playthrough, you finally get Squall some character development. He starts developing the feels and everything, and he's doing what he can to save this woman he loves, and they're just like, hand her over. And he's like, okay. Like,
yeah. All right. Well, I guess. Love you, babe. Enjoy eternity in that cell.
yes.
So, you go back on the Ragnarok, and this is where your crew shows up, and all of you get back together, and they all confront Squall. They're like, "Where's Renoa?" He's like, "Well, the government came and took her." And they're like, "Well, why'd you let them do that?" He's like, you know, whatever. It doesn't affect me. They're like, "You fucking love her," and he's like, "Yeah, but you know." And they're like, "No, you need to go save her right now. Are you kidding me? You're never gonna see her ever again. You're gonna regret this for the rest of your life." And he's like, "You know what? You're right. What am I doing?" He gets up and you fly back to Esther, and this is where you meet Laguna.
Yeah.
And Laguna kind of explains what's going on, and he's like, "I need you guys to kill Ultimacia. She's going to try to use time compression, and you have to kill her in her own time. She can't be killed here, so you have to go through the time compression." And this is where things start getting a little strange, as you'll hear in part 2, as Pete called it, timey-wimey bullshit, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, for sure.
So Squall's like, "All right, so we know we have to defeat the sorceress," and Laguna's like, "Yes, she's in Lunatic Pandora. You guys got to go back there and kill Ado and all of that, and then you guys can handle Ultimacia. But when you're going through time compression, do not forget your friends. Do not forget your family. They are the only things that are going to keep you existing through the time compression."
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, bet. Go back to the Ragnarok. Take off the Lunatic Pandora, and this is a cool ass cutscene. You come flying up on it, and the Ragnarok like shoots. Well, it's a you come up on it and you're shooting at it, and there's like a barrier around it. And they're like, "What the fuck? It's got a shield." So the Ragnarok drives through the shield, and then blows some fucking holes into the side of it, and then what I considered to be just arms that were there for look, like extend, and then grab the Lunatic Pandora to hold it there. And I'm like, holy shit, this ship's the dragon. That's sweet.
Yeah.
So you go into Lunatic Pandora, you got to fight a bunch of stuff on the way up, and then boom, Fujin and Raijin. They're like, "Oh, Squall, we got to fight, you know? We were expecting you, you know? And we just figured that we'd stay here and kick your ass for Cypher, you know? Because he's kind of lost his mind, you know? But we got to stick by him, you know?" And Fujin's just like, "Die!"
Yeah.
All right. So it goes into the battle. I don't know about you. I just used Aura and Rinzakuken, both of them, to death.
Yeah.
It was glorious. It didn't take very long at all.
No.
And once you beat them, you have to chase them. So they start running, so you kind of just follow them. And this is where you get to see your two favorite lovable idiots.
Yeah.
And they completely ignore your existence.
Yeah.
They don't want these hands no more.
No.
Biggs and Wedge
They don't.
are like
yeah.
working on some shit. and you come walking up to them, and you can even click on them, and you'll just see their dialogue, and then they just like turn around and walk off like you're not even there. They're like, nope,
Yeah,
not doing this
they've
today.
done fucking got those hands twice, and they want no part of that anymore. They're like done. Like we got our orders, but if our orders ever involve them, absolutely not. Like,
Yeah, so they go walking off the same way Fujin and Raijin did. So you run through there, and this is where Fujin and Raijin are like, "Hey, we actually have a surprise for you." Boom! Boss fight, mobile type 8 or 9, I don't remember which, but it's this big mechanical being. And honestly, like if you have like Thunder
yeah,
or Thundiga junction to your attack, this fight's a breeze.
yeah. No, this fight's stupid easy with Thunder or Thundaga. Yeah,
If you don't have that, it can be a
Quetzalcoatl is
little
a
bit of
big
a
one.
bitch because
Yeah,
he hits pretty hard. But yeah, hit it with Quetzalcoatl unless you have that on one of your other team members.
yeah,
You know, it's not a hard fight. It's just it can be a pain in the ass if you're not prepared for it.
yeah. I don't know if you do it or not, but when I do it, when I know playing this game so many times before, I know when I'm not going to need my GFs on party members that I'm not going to be using. So I just use all of my GF on my current team. So somebody in my party always has one of the GFs at some point. Like Quetzalcoatl's always in my lineup, and then who else do I use a lot? I use Leviathan a lot. Um,
So real quick, something interesting. I'm looking at this boss from this guide I'm looking at, and this boss's level cap is 41.
mhm.
So even if you're higher level than 41, it's not going to have more HP than 42,300.
That's not bad.
So yeah, if you can just do some serious damage to this thing without letting it really get off its big moves, you should be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So this is a point where this game just starts throwing bosses at you like it's fucking candy. So you beat this one, you run through the next door, and then you have to fight Cypher.
Yep.
Before that, Fujin and Raijin are standing there, and he's like, "Hey, fuckers, good to see ya." And they're like, "Cypher, we need to talk," which is never good for anybody to hear.
Yeah.
And Raijin starts trying to explain that like they think Cypher's kind of lost his mind, and they don't really want to be doing all this stuff. And then Fujin speaks more than one word. She goes on like this very emotional rant to Cypher, basically telling him like, "Listen, we can't do this. We'll see you around."
Yeah, I had the same reaction to that scene as I did to what was her name at the end of Ease. The little mute girl who didn't talk until the very end of the game. Maya, I think it was.
Maya,
Yeah.
Maya.
I had the same reaction to this. I was like, you fucking bitch. Like, you only said one word this whole fucking game, and now you're going to go on some deep, emotional, heartfelt speech because you realize you done fucked up. Like,
No, I didn't even put that together. That's funny as fuck.
that, yeah.
Oh man. So they fuck off, and Cypher's like, "Well, Squall, you're not gonna stop me." Squall's like, "Fucking bet I am. We can't let you win, Cypher. You're being a fucking idiot right now." And he's like, "You're not the sorceress's knight." And he's like, "No, I'm not a knight anymore. I'm serving my own purpose now. Fuck the world. I'm gonna destroy the fucking world because the world fucking sucks." Squall's like, "I don't disagree, but we shouldn't destroy it." I feel like they have like this little bonding moment of.
They do have this little bonding moment. Like,
They're both like, "Well, fuck the world. We gotta fight
yeah.
again." So then, cutscene, fight starts.
This is
You're
fight
pick-
number, what, 4 or 5 against Cypher at this point?
Yeah, I believe it's 4.
And he is still. I don't know about you, but I think I was done within like 2 or 3 turns, 2 or 3 rounds on him.
Yeah. So this fight is set up to work almost like it's scripted in a way.
Yeah.
When the fight first starts, not that the damage or anything, but like
Yeah.
what happens in it is the fight starts. It shows your characters. They disappear. Odin pops up,
Hmm.
and Odin is like, I'm thinking to myself, "Oh shit, Cypher's about to get fucked up and die, like legit die, get cut in fucking half."
Yeah.
So Odin shows up and goes to do his move, it runs through the animations, but instead of seeing the normal ending animation, you see
Fucking
Cypher
Cypher.
standing there holding his sword, and Odin is in two. And you're like, oh shit. And Odin's sword goes spinning off into the air and gets caught by this arm. And that's all you see.
Mm-hmm.
So then the battle commences. And once you get Cypher down to a certain HP level, it goes into another cutscene. And
Yeah.
you're like, what the fuck is this? And this voice, well, I say this voice, it comes up in text, but this voice comes up and says, like, you have brought me the final power. I am now complete. And it shows Gilgamesh. Boom! And there he is. And he uses his final move. I can't think of what the hell the name of it is. It's not Sensetsuken, but he does do that too. And he does the move that blows the enemy away out of battle. And Cypher gets thrown down. So he's like laying there on the ground, and Skull's kind of looking at him, shaking his head. And like a little kid, Cypher just pops up really quick and is like, "This isn't over, Squall," and just runs off. Like, alrighty then. And that is the end of Disc 3.
Yep.
So the beginning of Disc 4, you take over back into that same room, and Renoa has been taken by Adel. So you have to run down, and there's like this contraption to the right that I didn't realize. I ran around for like 10 minutes before I remembered that I had to climb that thing. So you run up, and you find Adele. Now, I know that, I believe you were telling me that this fight gave you a lot of trouble back in the day.
Yeah.
This is the fight with, you go in, and you have to fight Adele, but he has Renoa attached to his chest. And anytime you hurt him, if he has a chance, he's going to suck HP from Renoa to heal himself.
Yep.
And you can't let Renoa die. You have to heal her.
Yep. This is where is it Leviathan that has the heal ability?
No, that's Siren. Well, the
one
heal ability,
of
wait,
them.
what do you mean?
Which one is it? Hold on, let me pull it up really quick. I think it's Leviathan, but there's a ability that they can learn that helps with especially at this point, keeping Renoa alive.
Are you sure it's not treatment, which is Siren?
Let me see who it is. Boom. But yeah, like while I'm looking this up, we can don't let her die. Pretty much, don't let her die.
Pretty much. You can cast Regen on her, which helps.
It's Leviathan's recover ability.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've completely spaced that he had that because I didn't get Leviathan.
Oh yeah, that's right. You
So
missed him. Yeah, the recover
still
ability.
pissed off about that.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why I always forget about that one too, unless I like look it up, because he's one that I just keep in my party. Like he's he's not one of the stronger ones, but he's got good abilities and stuff that come in handy throughout the playthrough. And
for sure.
I think the recover ability was one that I discovered like accidentally on one of my like early playthroughs in this game, and I was like, oh, look at that, it's actually like helping me throughout this whole fucking thing.
Well, so once you beat Adele,
Yeah.
and you save Renoa, Skull's like some shit starts happening. Skull's like, the time compression is starting. Everyone prepare yourselves. And I can only call it water. It looks like the screen turns to water, like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then everyone's just kind of falling through the air, and there's like these bubbles of memories and everything around. And then after the quote unquote, I'll say dust settles, you're like in the room. Do you remember well, obviously you remember, but listeners, in the beginning of the game, when Renoa was trying to give that pendant to the sorceress, which would have kept her from being able to do her shield, and you'd have been able to beat the game in one disc.
Mm-hmm.
You end up in that room, and there's a save point, and you walk up to that save point, and as soon as you step on the save point, the whole room fills with save points.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on? And the only one that works is that first one. All the other ones are fake. go through the room, and then you get into a battle with a sorceress, I'll call it, but it's like you attack it once, and then it goes away, and the scenery changes, and you're in another part of the game, and then there's two sorceresses, and you beat them, and then they disappear, and then another one shows up, you beat them, and then the scenery changes, and this goes through a bunch of times, and then you get to the final one, which is like this weird creature looking thing that's fucking, if you got to kill it quick, like you have to kill it quick, because if not, it puts in countdown for Ultima, and that shit will fuck you up.
Yep.
And just, it can be a rough fight if you don't go in there prepared again. And it's at the end of 12, or at the end of 10 other sorceresses, which granted they are not that hard, but it's the final one that's just like, after all of those,
Yeah.
man, it can be rough. So after the dust settles, you kill that fucking sorceress, you end up in Adia's house again.
Mm-hmm.
And you run outside, and there's like a scene that plays, and it's Ultimecia walking, and Adia, or matron, whichever one you'd like to call her, is like on the ground, and the sorceress walks up to her and then just like absorbs into her, and she's like, "What just happened?" Squall's like, "The sorceress is now part of you." So this is where the timey-wimey bullshit, as Pete called it again, starts to come into play again, because it's like the fact that Squall is now telling her, like, "I'm here because you created Seed and you created Garden to defeat this sorceress that just entered you."
Yeah.
But by him telling her that puts the idea into her head about doing Seed and Garden. Therefore, this is a never-ending time loop of this happening.
Yeah.
Which is odd, but it's cool. You know, I mean, if you're into space and time travel and all of that, it's like, this is, I guess, a possibility. It's just a constant time loop.
Yeah.
So you let that dust settle and all of that, and this is where you warp again, and you're in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fucking desolate, destroyed. You see a massive fucking castle, and you're next to a white seed ship with some dead white seeds.
Yeah.
And at this point, you don't have the Ragnarok anymore. But if you start running up this it's a big chain. It's the biggest chain I've ever seen in a game ever, I think. It's massive.
Yeah.
And you start running up it, and there are 3 portals that you can jump off the chain over to and run through, and it'll take you back to the normal world. And in one of those portals, if you jump through it and then run around and look around, you will find the Ragnarok. So if there's any loose ends you want to tie up, or side quests that you haven't quite finished, or if you want to go get Odin if you waited, or Jumbo Cactar, if you want to, this is a good time to go hit the underwater research facility, which is what I did, and went and got Bahamut and beat Ultima Weapon and got Eden.
So you did do Ultimate Weapon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about a bitch of a fight. Holy
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. I've done it before. I didn't do it on this one because you can get Eden somewhere else in the game too.
Yeah. So I just was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go beat the game. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do any of the Chocobo forests or any of that. It's like, nah. So I headed back to Ultimace's castle. I didn't even worry about going and getting Ragnarok. Like, I jumped through the portals and saw where the portals took me, and I was just like, man, I'm ready to see the end of this game. I've never seen the end of this game.
Same. I just straight to the castle.
So you run up to the castle, and as soon as you guys enter it, you feel that there's like this voice, I guess, that plays inside of your heads, or maybe it says it out, that like all of your skills have been locked except attack. And you see this like chimera looking thing up on the staircase. It's like a sphinx chimera amalgamation. Anyway, you have to go fight it, and the only thing you can do is attack. Once you beat it, it offers you to unlock one of your powers. Now, you can go through and defeat all of these enemies that are in the castle and unlock all of your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I personally did not do that. I beat the Sphinx thing, I beat Tripoint, I beat Iron Giant, I beat the weird zombie looking thing I can't remember the name of, and I beat one other one. And I unlocked attack, magic, draw, limit break, and the ability to revive.
I did attack, draw, limit break, and then Tiamat. Which one does Tiamat give
Oh,
you again?
well,
Uh,
you have the choice. So
yeah,
it's like when
but since I didn't do the ultimate weapon on this run through, I did. You can draw Eden from Tiamat at this point.
oh, see, I didn't even find Tiamat.
Yeah,
I was like, once I unlocked the things I needed, I was like, I don't need all the other stuff. I'm just gonna go kill Ultimacia.
yeah,
So at any point, at any point, you can run in with just attack and head straight to the boss.
yeah, for sure.
You will fucking die because you can't heal yourself,
Yeah,
but you could try. Or if you cheat in the remastered version, you could do it. You know what I mean?
yeah. Give
But I tried not
yourself
to.
all those items and the automatic reheal and
Well,
all that shit.
not even that, because all of that's locked. The
Oh
only
yeah,
thing that you could do is use the one that keeps you at max health and max limit break,
yeah,
which I tried not to use that too much. I didn't want to overly cheat, you know.
yeah. I'm probably gonna go through when we get a longer game again. I need to take a break. Do see how fast I can beat this game with all the cheats and the 3x speed and everything like that. I think it'd be interesting to see how quick you can actually do it.
Totally. Yeah, I think it would be cool. Maybe me and you can do like a special thing. We can see who could beat it faster.
Yeah.
uh, Although I have more free time than you, so I'm not sure that that would be very fair.
Yeah, my free time is about to get cut even less with baby Theo arriving in like 7 weeks.
Yeah, and going back to work soon, buddy. You're gonna have your fucking hands full.
Yeah, we'll see. I should be all right. I should be all right.
Uh, so the time has come. You fight Ultimecia,
Yeah.
and she's really not that hard at first. Like,
It,
depending on what level you are.
it lulls you into this false sense that like, hey, this isn't gonna be so bad.
Yeah, yeah. Because at level 100, she had 43,000 HP for me. So
Yeah,
that
she
was
caps at 65 ish. I want to say. Like,
yes, sir. That's correct.
yeah, she's not super.
So at this point, my characters were hitting for max damage.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So it was like she didn't take very long at all. And then you think it's over. No, she summons a guardian force, or she summons her girlfriend.
yeah,
And her girlfriend is what is perceived in Squall's mind as the greatest GF there is. Like, what would be the perfect GF? And it is this crazy looking fucking like lion. It looks like Diablos had sex with a lion and has some swords growing out of its arms with an axe for a tail. It's fucking crazy looking. And his name is Griever.
yeah,
And I really wish that you could have like drawn him from himself just to use him in the last battle.
yeah.
Although I know at this point that that wouldn't matter.
No, it wouldn't.
Uh, he is a bit more of a bitch. Um, my
Yeah,
scan.
he
Go ahead.
caps at the same level, but his HP, if you maxed out at 100, he's sitting. I think it's like 116,000 HP.
Yeah, it's almost triple what
Yeah,
Ultimate's HP is.
yeah.
So and he hits fucking hard, and he fucking uses Doom,
Hmm.
and Doom is terrible because you have 10 turns to get rid of it, and if you don't, you just drop dead.
I love Doom. Like,
So what? See, I never used it. I know Shiva gets it, but I never used it.
I use it a lot.
Once you beat him, you're like, all right, now no, it's not over. Ultimecia junctions herself to Griever, and
Hmm.
she becomes Griever form Ultimecia, and
The HP
starts.
jumps up again.
Yeah, now she's at like 180,000
Yeah,
HP,
yeah, it's like 180,000 is about right. Yeah.
and they were summoned. She summons these little fucking helix things, and each of them had 30,000 HP for me. So I'm like having to deal with all of this, and I'm like, oh my god, there's so much going on. And you wipe her HP out. You got to keep yourself alive, obviously.
Yeah.
It starts getting harder and harder at this point, unless you've really stocked up on items and magic, which I highly recommend.
I highly recommend.
So, final form, Ultimecia, because there's one more form, and man, is this an ugly bitch. She her ultimate form or her real form, whatever you want to call it, is a monstrosity of a creature. And
You're missing one more form because there's 5 boss battles at this point, right? You got the
no, no, because I'm looking at the game.
she junctions herself to it, and then it is the Ultimecia Griever form, which is significantly easy. She only caps at level 30 at that point, but then she transforms into the final form.
Oh hell, I don't know. I just know her final form has like 280,000 HP, and it took forever.
Nah.
Uh, I used Aura, um, and gave myself Limit Break. Or was it Holy War? It might have been Holy War. Gave all of my people Limit Breaks and just started spamming them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I beat her. And then I had never seen the ending of this game before ever. This was the first time I ever beat it.
The first
And it
time.
was
That's right. That's right. You always stopped right at the castle.
I did.
Yeah.
I always stopped at Ultimacia's castle. And I was really impressed with the ending. I liked how it really comes off that Renoa is the hero of the game in the end, because you kind of see Squall wandering through this time compression, and he's
Mm-hmm.
trying to remember his friends and stuff, but then he starts having self-doubts, and he starts thinking about himself. And then all of a sudden he's no longer in this field where he's supposed to meet Renoa. He is in like this desolate wasteland walking around, and he kind
Yeah.
of just like falls the fuck over and gives up. And he's like, I guess I'm just gonna die alone, like I always knew I would. And then it shows Renoa, and she's in that grass field, and she wants to find Squall so bad. She's thinking about him so much that she finds him and grabs him, and they have like this moment, and it shows. So there's different things happening while this is going on, and one of the things it shows is a flashback to Laguna standing there with Rain, and Rain grabs Laguna's hand and slides a ring on it, one of the rings from her necklace, so he'll always have something to remember her by. And at this point, Laguna, it's kind of inferred throughout the game that Laguna is Squall's father, because Alone was mad that Laguna had left and wasn't there when Rain gave birth to her child, because she died during childbirth,
Mm-hmm.
or shortly after childbirth, and the child was given up for adoption. It's fucking Squall.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
I think
And
there's even like a little line in there. It's like, at least just be happy you don't look like your dad. And like Laguna takes it like, hey, like,
yeah, I think Kiros says that.
Yeah.
At least you don't look like your dad. And that's like Julia, the singer that Laguna was so infatuated with earlier in the game, is Renoa's mother.
yeah.
So it's all like links together in the end. So it shows this scene where Laguna gets the ring and he's looking at Rain, and then it cuts back to old man Laguna, and he looks down and he's looking at Rain's grave, and he kind of smiles, and then that's when I call it the Sakura effect, where all the flowers are coming through.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's called Sakura. At least that's what it's called in Final Fantasy XIV when you're doing glamour shots. I don't know. But he turns around and he sees Alone running down the hill, and Kiros and Ward are standing up on the hill. And I want to point out that this was a major moment in Final Fantasy series, because the song playing during this part is On Me, and it was the first vocalized song in Final Fantasy.
Yep.
First one with lyrics.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful fucking song. It really is. And then it cuts back to Renoa. And it might show some other people that I can't remember right now, but it cuts back to Renoa, and she finds Squall, and they like embrace, and she like looks at him, and the camera's on her. Black screen. Of
There you are.
the
There you are. You were glitching out on me for a second.
did it? I don't
Yeah.
think it was my connection this time. It's green.
Yeah. That's good.
But so I lost my train of thought. Oh, so it's showing the little end video on the side, and it's like home video footage of what's like the December dance thing that they've been planning the entire game that you never got to see. And it kind of infers a few things. Like it shows Selfie running around wearing Irvine's hat, so I assume that they became a thing. It shows Zell absolutely gorging himself on some fucking hot dogs,
Fucking
like just
destroying some.
which is hysterical. I love that, like, the hot dogs were just like a running joke throughout this entire game.
You finally see them at the very end, and Zell is
Finally
the
gets
reason
fucking
why there are no hot dogs. Like,
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. And then it shows Quistis, and Irvine tries to get a picture with her, and he pulls her all close and like leans his head on her, and she just starts punching him to get him off of her.
fucking Quisty.
And the camera goes out, and you see Renoa standing out on this balcony, and she looks up at the sky and sees a shooting star, and then she does that thing where she like looks at the camera and she points up, and then it goes black, and then it finishes the credits. The credits roll.
Mm-hmm.
Then it shows another scene, and it's Renoa, and it's from a different angle, and it's the same thing. She sees the shooting star, and she looks up at it, and she looks to her right and points up, and the camera cuts over, and there's Squall standing there, and he smiles with her, and that's when it goes black, and the game is over.
Yep.
And man, beautiful ending. But I'm going to leave our thoughts to part 2, which we are going to attach to this.
Yeah.
Fair warning, good listeners. Your wonderful and deeply sorry host Dalton accidentally double recorded the audio for Ryan and our guest James. So this part 2, while I fixed it up best I could, and it is still entertaining in my opinion, Ryan and James both sound like robots because their voices are doubled. So if you can't get past that, I apologize, but I think that if you stick with it and listen to it, you'll really enjoy it.
Learning curve, technical difficulties. We got to figure it out still. We're working on it.
We're only 12 episodes in.
Yeah, we're working on it.
We're working on it. But in that case, let's leave some radio silence, which is really just going to be a audio cut for you guys to part 2, and we hope you enjoy it. All right, welcome back to part 2 of this week's Steam Machine podcast. And we have a guest with us right now. I would like everyone to welcome our good buddy, James, from the JRPG Report.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going good over here, man.
Yeah, it's going.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, of course, man. I can't do this without having you on, seeing as that my first podcast I ever did was your show, sir.
So I'm just returning the favor, right?
Yes. Our backs have been scratched.
Excellent. Well, I brought something with me for the both of you. I have a bar of soap because your mothers need to wash out those dirty mouths of yours. Good grief, fellas.
Absolutely not. Like, I did my time in the Navy to earn this sailor's mouth. Like,
there you go. I don't know if you heard it today, Dalton, but I did fair warning. I was like, yeah, you guys, I'm going to be in the podcast, but it is not family friendly.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't a sailor. I did nothing to earn this mouth other than just...
It's family friendly. This show tells your family to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have told anybody to tune in. I don't know, man.
Nah, it'll be all right. They'll either be like, oh well, we'll just listen to James's part, and that's cool too. If people just want to tune in for that and don't want to hear us curse all over Final Fantasy.
Maybe we can edit in some sound effects over the words for post-production.
Yeah, every time.
That's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Please don't do that to me. So we just wrapped up playing Final Fantasy VIII, and I know that you do not share quite the love for it that we have.
What makes you say that? I don't know. Maybe.
I believe I've heard you mention it a time or two on the JRPG Report.
It's outside my top 5 even of Final Fantasy games, yes.
Yeah, so give us like your little overview on it, what your first experience was with it and things of that nature.
Okay, the first thing I want to do is congratulate you, sir. as your favorite game of all time you just beat after 20 some years. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That is a titled hold. So do you want my sob story of how it came to be? Is that cool?
Give it to us, man.
So I'm a little older than you fellas, and I've been playing Final Fantasy since I could walk. So by the time I get to part 8, I'm in high school, and I don't know. This is how excited I was. I took my VCR and actually recorded that opening scene and played it for my economics class or some presentation.
That's awesome.
And I was like, "Look, everybody, this is the coolest thing ever!" And everybody's just sitting there like, "What is this dude even doing?" Like. Are we sitting here in class for real having to watch a video game? Because, of course, things were a little different back then. It wasn't quite as cool as it is now.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so the hype was real. I had the demo from Pizza Hut, or was it Brave Fencer Musashi you got the demo in?
I think it was Brave Fencer.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I bought that game to play a demo, basically, but Brave Fencer was actually a cool game. So yeah, I was super hyped, and I guess I just get it. And having played all of the Final Fantasies before that, I just felt, I don't know, just let down. And that feeling never went away all these years later. However, I do recognize it's as a good game, and I've heard not just you guys talk about how much you love it, but a lot of people, I guess, more around your age, it was hit at that perfect time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get that.
I have.
What was it the play mechanics for you, or was it just all of it, including the storyline, how it played, and everything that kind of turned you away from it as compared to the other titles?
I think it was the entire package of. Yeah. I mean, 7's not even my top game. 6 is my all-time favorite. So I just felt like they changed so much. And maybe if you guys actually like Squall, I just found him to be a complete terrible character. Could not get into him because he's just nothing like myself, and I didn't I didn't go through that phase as a teenager. Call me lucky or blessed, whatever. So I didn't identify with that. I
had my emo Squall phase. Yeah. So I definitely went through that, so I definitely related.
I was going through it when I played this game. So
did you have a jacket with feathers on it to that extent?
I fucking wish I did.
Yeah, growing up in New York winters, I'm pretty sure I had some fluffy hooded.
Yeah, see, I have no need for that down here in Florida. No need.
Do you even own a jacket?
Oh yeah, I will say it gets cold here during the winter, but it's a different kind of cold. I went up and visited Ryan during the winter, and it was really cold there, but down here, it's so humid and cold at the same time that it's just like walking into an ice box.
It was cold here, but I don't think you really experienced that cold until we were walking through downtown Rochester at night.
Oh my god. Oh yeah. So James, we're walking across a bridge in the middle of Rochester, and the wind is blowing 15 miles an hour, and it's 10 degrees outside. I had on this huge. No, I didn't wear my big jacket. I wore my hoodie, and it was just I made a mistake.
Yeah, being a Florida boy, you're not used to that kind of stuff. That's for sure.
No, it was cool seeing snow though. That was cool.
That was the first time you saw snow, right?
Yes, it was. Yes,
it snowed a lot.
And it snowed a lot.
Lucky.
Yeah.
You got lucky.
I know in previous conversations that we have had about Final Fantasy VIII, I know that the magic and the draw system really bugged the shit out of you.
It didn't bug me so much. I just thought it was stupid. I mean, for lack of a better word, I just didn't want to, and so I didn't understand why I was being forced to. I love magic in my games, so it's kind of Now, I will give it some. Let me just say this: I have not played the remaster. I've not played the game pretty much since it came out. So maybe those things might have changed. I'll say that much at least.
No.
There's
nothing. Literally nothing has changed about the game. In fact, I was telling Ryan about this on an earlier episode that we did about it. That I was kind of let down when I bought the remaster because I had Final Fantasy VIII on my PC and had modded it, and then I bought the remaster, and the remaster looks exactly like my modded version. So I'm oh, I wasted money.
Oh wow!
But
didn't the remaster still keep the 16 or not 16 my bad, that 4:3 ratio? There were still black bars on the side.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I that kind of sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of strange that they didn't do widescreen support. But then again, I was wondering.
It gave me that nostalgic feel.
How
they did it for 9 though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Same system, so I don't. That's odd.
Did 9 have pre-rendered backgrounds?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's been so long since I played it. I don't remember because I know that one of the things that cracked me up in the remaster of 8 is the parts that are in the background that aren't. So there are some characters that you would think would be animated, but they're actually part of the background. So because they're super fuzzy. So like Squall will be standing there looking pristine, and there will be 2 students behind him that look like PlayStation 1 background graphics. It's just really funny to see.
It is funny. It is funny.
The first instance I remember is that opening scene when you're in the classroom, and Quistis is telling you and Cypher to stop beating the hell out of each other, and Squall and Cypher look pristine, and all the other students in there just look like garbage.
Nobody cares about those people anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
That scene before the remaster is like, you're the most handsome-looking fellow at this ball, and it's just fucking.
Yeah, his face is just this mangled mesh of polygons.
Is that the same scene that meme that you shared where the glass is like in his face?
Yeah.
Like being levitated or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Good stuff. PS1. Oh man.
Now I want to more so talk to you about some JRPGs and things that we have on our list coming up. Now that you've kind of given your hatred for 8.
I'm glad you don't want me to bash anymore on your favorite game.
Well, I do, and I'm going to get into what we think too. I just real quick want to read some things that we had some listeners write in about. One John Nitty, who is our buddy, who I think is the fighting game aficionado that listens, said that he loves Final Fantasy VIII, and a lot of people give it shit. And this is why I wanted to read this to you, James. A lot of people give it shit. But it was such an innovative game for the time, and they really experimented a lot with the systems that he personally really loved the story. So I asked him to follow up on that if he had anything else that he'd like to share, and I'd read it on the show. And he said, I feel like Final Fantasy in more years has recently become an extremely experimental series. And although it has very classic roots, Final Fantasy VIII was really the first one in the series that tried to do something different, really interesting with the battle system. Although whenever Square experiments with Final Fantasy, it's always met with mixed reviews, but John finds it incredibly respectable that they genuinely try to make every experience different after a certain point.
Okay. So you want my reaction to that?
Yeah, like how would you both feel about that?
So I agree with what he is saying, but that doesn't mean I like it.
Oh no, you don't have to like it. Yeah, no,
Yeah, so they do this. You're absolutely right. I mean, some things like the ATB are great, great mix, and that they work. I think of like 12's battle system. I actually enjoyed that, even though I don't like MMOs. I just feel like they did too much with 8. And if you look at it, why didn't they do really any of those things again? They went back to 9, although 9 had some weird things with the equipment and learning skills and that stuff. I mean, and 10 was just a complete return to roots, in my opinion. Yeah, they always do something, doesn't always work. And I just felt like everything that they changed, I didn't care for. On top of the story, on top of the characters, it just, it just didn't hit me at all, and it obviously didn't resonate.
Yeah. And I mean, I get that because I've heard it, said about Final Fantasy 13, where like there are some people who like it, shockingly, and then there are
who the hell are those people?
there's a small minority. What I always hear about 13 is that the game is trash, the battle system is fantastic.
No, I disagree.
But it's not. I'm sorry, not the first. They're so weird with the names of this. Lightning Returns was 2.
No, that's 3.
Was that the third one? That's the one that I've heard that apparently the battle system was good in, but I haven't played them. I have no say in it. I just from what I've read. I've been meaning to play 13, but I just haven't made myself.
You don't need to. I had tried 3 times to play that game and actually got all the way to the end, and just I hate it. I hate every bit of it. And but the thing is, it's gorgeous. Like, it is a really pretty game for the PlayStation 3. So you want to keep going. You want to figure out what's going on. I actually heard part 2 was a little bit better in terms of 3, and then 3 kind of turns into this one-player experience, which is just extremely weird for a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, that is kind of odd. You don't have a party at all.
No, it's Lightning is a party. She turns into like God mode and has all these different forms or something to that effect. It's sitting on my shelf. I will never play that game.
That just makes me think of like Devil May Cry or something.
But not good, yeah.
Oh, well. All right, and then I only have one other thing from somebody else, and then we can kind of do our little wrap up on it. And then, like, I'm serious. I'm going to hit you with some JRPG stuff because I planned. And
Excellent.
And by planned, I mean, like, I copied and pasted a lot of stuff. So, Pete,
good.
Pete from She Heals I Tank, which is a great Final Fantasy XIV podcast. If any of you are fans of Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO, and kind of want something to listen to while you're playing, if you're not listening to the Steam Machine podcast or the JRPG Report, there is She Heals I Tank, which will tell you all you need to know about Final Fantasy XIV. But Pete has been doing this thing where his first Final Fantasy was 14, so he's been going back and playing the older games on stream. So that's kind of what he starts off with. He says, so before I get into my thoughts, it should be probably known that I am just now working my way through the Final Fantasy series. My first Final Fantasy game was 14, the MMO. I wanted to get the references that they've been adding into the game from the past games, so I started going back to play the older ones. I started with 10, and then I played 9, and now most recently 8. I think that context is needed while something bothering me now playing in 2020 at the time of release could have been groundbreaking, or there could have been a limitation. I think I probably would have enjoyed this game more when it released than I did playing through it now. Final Fantasy VIII's story took much longer to grab me than 10 and 9 did. Squall wasn't engaging to me. Seed was an organization that I didn't particularly like, and damn did I hate Sid compared to my 14 Sid. It was a slog for me in the beginning, and I didn't really start getting into the story until we started to get more of the sorceress, and when we started to learn about all the connections and all of that due to the orphanage. After the orphanage part of the story for the most part was pretty solid, enjoyable for me. At the times during this, I would call had timey-wimey bullshit, and I just had to not think about it too hard and just go with the flow. But overall, I think the storytelling was probably pretty good. And Squall's dialogue could be pretty bad and cringy at times. I don't know if it was bad translations or just bad writing.
It was just Squall being a stupid fucking emo bitch. Like,
Now he did comment on that Triple Triad is in 14 as well as 8, and he did say that something I did do a lot of during another playthrough was a whole lot of Triple Triad. I wasn't expecting it to differ much from the 14 version, but holy crap, Triple Triad in Final Fantasy VIII is so much better than it is in 14. If only we could take a card from our opponents every time we beat them in 14. But ultimately, I ended up having a lot of fun during my first playthrough, even though the story wasn't always my cup of tea.
Cool. I can respect him for trying to go back and play those games. I would think that'd be really hard to do.
Especially going backwards.
Yeah, I don't see you being able to appreciate it fully that way.
yeah.
I know I was watching him do some certain parts when he was playing 8, and I so badly wanted to be like, oh, dude, no, you need to do this, this, and this. But I didn't want to give him any spoilers. So
no, you don't want to ruin that for him.
No, it's just like when my friends would be like, so why should I play Persona 5? And it's like, well, I can't tell you. You just really need to play it.
I still have that sitting on my shelf.
I was going to say, to the point that I bought it and took it to Ryan and gave it to him. I was like, I bought this as a physical edition. I want you to have it. You play this fucking game. Has he? No, but...
I think
that
I'm
is
15
go ahead.
minutes into it. I think it's it. About 15 minutes. That's all I did.
That's one of the greatest gifts you can give somebody in the JRPG world.
Yeah, totally. I'm telling you, it's a long slog of a game, but like if you get through that beginning world building and character building, that game picks up and does not stop running. Like, it's really good.
Yeah, Ryan, I've heard a few of you guys' podcasts, so I know you're a casual gamer. I don't know how you're going to put 120 hours into a game, but good luck.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. It might take a couple years, but I'll do it.
Or you could be like James and put another 100 hours into it for nothing.
Absolutely. Buy another $60 version and put another 120 in there and still not get anything out of it. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, Ryan, I don't know if I told you that, but the parts that they added into Persona 5 Royal are missable if you don't do what you're supposed to do, and apparently James missed it. I'm like, oh, so I'm kind of glad that I haven't played all the way through now, because I'm like, oh, well, now I know I need to really work on this part and this part so I can see the new stuff.
My pain is your gain. Thank you.
But so
hey, can I say one thing before we go?
Absolutely.
Just on 8, y'all say seed. Was it not CD?
No, it's seed.
I always was like conflicted as whether it's CD or seed. I always just said seed.
So why capitalize the D?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Just for looks, just for shits and gigs.
I assumed that maybe it's an acronym, and if it is, I did not remember them ever telling us it's an acronym. But
if it's an acronym, they'd all be capitalized.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, fuck if I know, dude. It might be CD.
That's why I've always called it. So when I heard you guys say it, I was like, oh, I wonder if that's it. They may know, but it's hard. Anytime a game's not vocalized, it's hard to know how to pronounce anything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like
I take it as seed because they take you in as students and then they watch you grow before unleashing you on the world. Like,
that's incredibly deep, but I don't think that's right. I got a thought on Squall. So I kind of felt like he never evolved and changed. Whereas, so I take a game like Tales of the Abyss and Luke, the main character. Have you played Dalton?
I have not.
Okay, so without spoiling too much, halfway through, he is pretty much Squall, a whiny little, the whole game. But halfway through, he makes a ginormous, cataclysmic mistake and evolves and completely changes and redeems himself and then becomes a great person and a great character. I didn't really ever get that sense with Squall. I felt like he was just that whole thing until the very end, until he didn't die, but I guess.
You could that's questionable. That's questionable whether he did or not. There's a whole conspiracy theory about Squall actually dies at the end of disc 1, and everything else is kind of just shit happening in his head as he dies.
Hey, it's Mario 2. It's just a dream, right?
Yeah. Interesting fact is that I kind of agree with you that Squall never really redeems himself, because even in the end of the game, when he has to remember his friends and family in order for him to survive, what's he do? Starts thinking about himself, starts thinking that he's not good enough, and that fucks him over, and he ends up laying there, and Renoa has to come save him. So really, in the scope of things, Renoa is truly like the hero.
She is. Yeah, I always got that. Well, I mean, she's the angel, right? I mean, she's got the angel wings, so she redeems him and saves him. I felt like she was a much better character, and I do share y'all's love of Quintus. I thought she was a fantastic.
Quisty?
I love her. I love Zell. Zell just cracks me up because he is such a bro, and I've known so many dudes like that. It just makes me laugh watching him.
I did like Selfie too. I thought she was really cool with those nunchucks. I mean, you can't go wrong with nunchucks with a chick, right?
Yeah, definitely my two favorite characters are Quistis and Selfie for sure.
And I mean, personally, I know me and Ryan discussed this. I don't know if you would agree or not. I really think that this game could benefit from a remake like they did with 7, because there's a lot to flesh out, and I feel like that they could expound upon the relationships and the stories, and it would make maybe a little more sense to people who didn't really get the story at the first. But then again, they could also just convolute it more than it's already convoluted. And
are you talking about a remake that's just one game, or are they gonna flesh that into 3 games?
Well, I mean, at the rate they're going, I guess flesh it into 8, 9 games, 10 with some DLC. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But overall, man, I really liked the game. It's still one of my favorites. After playing it and beating it and seeing the ending, I've got to say that Persona 5 is better. I know, everyone I heard the gasps around the world.
Well, you finally beat it, so yeah, you can say that now.
Yeah, so it's like the end. As far as endings, like the way Persona 5 wrapped up, I felt more complete than I did watching the ending of 8. Although the ending of 8 made me tear up because it's such a sweet love story. And whereas Persona is more like a friendship tale almost, more than a love story.
It's so weird. You can date girls, but it doesn't really factor into the story at all.
Yeah, it just makes you have either a good or awkward Christmas.
The awkward one was pretty good.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna shoot for that one on Royal because I never got to see it, so I really want to see it.
It's worth seeing.
So Now, Ryan, do you want to give your final opinions on 8, and then we can wrap up this little section?
It's like you're saying, like where you beat it, you realize there are some other games that are better. Like, love Final Fantasy VIII. It's one of my all-time favorite games or whatever. But being the super casual gamer that I am, there's some games where I've been just more proud of actually completing on my first playthrough. Like, first time I beat GoldenEye 64, I think I reacted better to beating that than I did Final Fantasy VIII, even though I love the game. Like,
Well, yeah, kudos to you for being able to aim in that game. Like, I can't aim for shit in GoldenEye these days. I'm like, how did we play this?
yeah, no, for sure. That's probably why my weapon of choice when I played GoldenEye was the remote mines. But...
Yeah.
So would you definitely say that 8 was high on your guys' pantheon of games because of the time that you played it at, though?
More than likely.
I started with 7, and 8 came out. What year did 8 come out? Like 99?
99.
Yeah.
I was just hitting like the end of middle school, the start of junior high. So
I was 7.
I already played through a bunch of different consoles: the NES, the Super Nintendo, the Sega, the 64, all that shit. Like,
Okay.
I just maybe it was my emo phase at that point in time that really connected me with like some of the characters from 8 that made me like really dig it, and it just stuck with me. Like,
So you played a lot of games before that, but you didn't really get into RPGs and JRPGs until 7?
yeah,
Okay. That makes more sense.
And with me, like, I had friends who really loved Final Fantasy VII, but I never had that game or anything. Well, my brother come to visit one time and gave my dad this game, and my dad's like, well, I don't really play these types of games, but maybe your little brother will like it. And he hands it to me, and it was Final Fantasy VIII. And I believe it was, this might have been a little, maybe I might have been like 10 or 11 by the time that I got this, because I believe it was the greatest hits case that I had.
Okay.
But I dove in and started playing it, and all of my friends at the time, I say all of them, it was like my buddy and his older brother, they really enjoyed Final Fantasy like I did, and we all started playing 11, the MMO, way back in the day. So at the time, I was like, give me all the Final Fantasy I can get. But my first experience with it was 8, so I feel like I hold that higher than the rest for a nostalgia purpose, because it's like I got it from my brother and played it with my dad. So I think I hold it nearer to my heart because of those reasons.
That's awesome. I think we all have games like that, and it depends on where you're at in your life, the bonds you had with other people as well. Like, I mean, that was me and my brother. We played 6, well, 3 at the time. It had a 2-player mode, so like that one really stuck in my mind as something that was special at the time. And those feelings don't go away. They just, I guess, like yourself, you finally did beat it, and you started to say, okay, well, maybe I was looking at rose-colored glasses just a little bit, because Persona 5, obviously, it does everything better because it's a new game.
Yeah, a new game, newer engine, cleaner. Yeah, totally. I completely agree with that. Like, I still love it, but now with the total package of knowing everything that happens in it, I can admit that it's not the greatest game ever.
That's good. So you finally came to it, the realization on your own. You didn't just listen to me say it over and over.
he's like, you finally realized it. Final Fantasy VIII fucking sucks.
That's like the person who says my favorite is Final Fantasy is 13, but they haven't played any other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's those are probably the people who like it.
I like the Last Airbender, the movie.
The live action.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite.
Dude, I just had a girl today tell me that you need to watch Avatar, and I clarified. I'm like, do you mean the show? She's like, yeah, it's on Netflix now. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I've been meaning to watch that. But
she didn't mean James Cameron's Avatar.
She didn't mean the blue cat people, right? She meant the Airbender. Right?
Oh, you guys mean Fern Gully? Are you talking about Fern Gully? Because that movie's pretty much Fern Gully.
That movie's messed up, man.
Yeah, it really is. All right, so I have a little thing prepared for you here, Mr. James.
Oh, Lord, I'm not prepared, but go ahead.
I have a list of, so I made a list of the JRPGs that we have on our entire list, but I took out the little, RPG Maker ones that I didn't think that you would know about too much. I don't know how big of a PC gamer you are, so
Zero.
Yeah, so I didn't think that you would really know much about those, but I'm gonna run through. I'm gonna name a game, and you can just either give us one word, the first thing that comes to your mind, or if you've played it, you can give us maybe like a little bit of like what to look forward to, that type of thing.
Okay, I will do my best. Quick, this is the quick fire round.
Yeah, and if you've never played it, you can just say haven't played it.
Okay, I hope it's not a lot of those answers.
It might be, but we'll see.
It's gonna be like all of them. Pass.
Pass. I don't.
All right, so up first we have Dot Hack GU Last Recode.
Oh gosh, the PS2 ones. I never got. There was a couple of those, wasn't there?
Yeah, they were re-released on Steam as like one long game.
I felt like those looked like garbage, and I didn't want to play them. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so that'll be fun when we get to that one. All right, number 2 is hopefully I pronounced this right. These are in alphabetical order.
Okay.
Atelia Ryza.
Atelier? Yes. You know I played Ryza, boy. Come on.
Yeah, I know that. That's why I was like, I know he'll have something more to say about this one. So
I am old school. I've played all of them back to the PS3. I didn't play the old Japanese ones. I love the Atelier series, and Ryza took everything that those games ever tried to do and did it perfectly. Thick thighs save lives. That's all you need to remember for that one.
now, is it like a crafting JRPG type? Because I know
they absolutely emphasize alchemy more so in the other ones than this one, but you definitely have to gather ingredients, take them back to your atelier, put them in the old cauldron, and mix them up in order to get better weapons, items to use in battle. But that also increases your rank, which allows more things to happen, story elements, that type of deal. It used to be you were on this crazy deadline, like you had a year or 3 years in order to get all this done, or your shop was going to close and it was game over. They got rid of that one, thank goodness, in Ryza.
Okay, because I was going to ask you about that, because I've read up on the series, and I remember that deadline kind of turned me off of it. I'm like, well, I don't want to have to rush through.
Yeah, like going back to Verona on PS3 was the first one I played, and I did okay, but like Totoro, the second one, I failed. Like it was game over. I didn't meet the deadline, didn't see anything. Didn't even come close to beating that one. It was rough. So thank goodness they got rid of that. That was really dumb.
Oh well, cool. I'm looking forward to that. All right.
Yeah, definitely. The battle system is one of the best parts of it too. You'll really enjoy it.
I have a feeling there's another game on this list that you were going to say that about. We'll get to. Number 3, Breath of Fire 4.
Okay, I didn't play the Breath of Fires. I think 2 was the last one I played. I own 4, but I haven't actually played it.
I picked this up strictly because I've heard that it is one of the best bit graphics, like 16-bit graphics and things. It might even been 32-bit back then, but they said as far as being that retro style look. Now, obviously, I'm sure it's been beaten out now by like Octopath Traveler and things like that. But for its time, I heard it looked really good, so I'm kind of interested in checking it out.
Yeah, I think all of them have Ryu as a character in there, and he turns into a dragon. I think 4 was on PlayStation 1, so yeah, you'd probably be right with 32.
Yeah,
but yeah, they are in high regards as a very top notch series, and just one that disappeared.
Well, all right. Next up, you got Cosmic Star Heroine. Have you played this yet?
No, have you?
I've played a little bit of it. I got it on the recommendation that it was supposed to be a lot like Chrono Trigger, and so far from what I've played of it, it does not remind me of Chrono Trigger in any way other than you can see the enemies on the map.
I would not have described it that way based on what I know. I've seen it on super cheap sale, and I've meant to pick it up a few times and just haven't. But there is only one Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the greatest of all time for a reason.
All right, Disgaea 5.
I'm not a Disgaea guy. I don't like strategy ones.
No.
I fail miserably at them, so I don't like them. They're garbage.
All right, now we're going to run through some Final Fantasies.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 3, the real 3.
On DS, excellent version of an old school JRPG. Very simplistic. I definitely recommend the DS version as they kind of redid the graphics and did it in a modern style. Very much like 1, but with good DS graphics. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I believe that's the PC port that I have is the DS version.
I'm sure it is. It's got cutscenes and everything. It's nice.
So just because of the way the listing is and the way letters work, the next one up is Final Fantasy IX.
High regards for the 9, the throwback to the classic style. Love the characters in that. The art style just, oh man, I think it's beautiful. It's the best that the PlayStation could do in terms of graphics. Made a 7 and 8 look like poo. And
It really did, totally.
and the music, the music. I don't know if I told you this in one of my podcasts. I used to listen to that soundtrack going to sleep every night back in college. It's wonderful.
The soundtrack for 9 was awesome.
It's funny because I used to listen to the soundtrack from the movie Queen of the Damned to go to sleep, just to show the difference in our musical taste when we were going to sleep.
That's as we're about as different as they can come, but we're still the same.
Yes, much love, my brother. Now, okay, so Final Fantasy V.
5 was good. It's so weird because I played, the DS play version of 3, which 5 actually has like worse graphics than it because it hasn't been touched up at all. I didn't love it, but there wasn't anything wrong with it either.
Okay.
I don't think it was as good as 4, which came before it. That's the worst, the worst I could say about it.
All right, now you touched on this one a little earlier. This Final Fantasy VI. Hit us with it.
Oh God, it's it. The second best game of all time, in my opinion. That dark story. I mean, good grief, the world is destroyed. You lose. Your giant party of ultra powerful people cannot stop the fall, but yet they still get back together and end up going against one of the all-time, if not the best bad guys of all time in Kafka. Airships, magic, espers, Magitech armor. It had absolutely everything. The graphical style. It's called steampunk. I never really quite latched onto that. I just felt like it was a medieval meets the industrial evolution. Yeah, I guess it has those things to it, but I was never a steampunk guy, so I didn't really think it was that. But I couldn't think of a better old school than that. There's been talks of remaking that one, and I would actually not like to see that, but there you go.
Yeah, I think that some classics should be left to lie. We discussed that on one of your episodes of your show, the JRPG report.
Yeah, I think they've got enough things to remake. Not let's not touch the sacred cows.
Now, we pretty much know how everybody feels about Final Fantasy VII and then 8, so I won't bug you with those. And you said you did like 12's battle system, so I'll skip over that too. So let's go to 15, because I'm not even going to bring up 13. We made that very clear. So how did you feel about 15?
Oh, 15. So I want to play it again in Royal Edition. I have heard that it is better. The problem is we waited God knows how long, 10 years, 8 years, a long, long time from 13 to 15 because 14's online. So we get a broken game when it comes out, and that's the game that I played.
Oh, see, I waited a little bit, so I didn't have that.
Yeah, you got lucky. It was much better, but yet it had just enough elements to make me play. I played all the way through, and it's beautiful. You warping around the screen doesn't feel like Final Fantasy.
That was kind of strange when I first did that.
Yeah, it's got way too much action for its own good. That's just, it pulls you right out of it. I mean, I don't need it to be turn-based, but I don't need it to be as quick as, like you said, Devil May Cry or something. Just, it was ridiculous.
It reminded me of like Final Fantasy's version of Kingdom Hearts. Like that style of battle system.
That's not what we wanted. The parts that I really enjoyed was like, I don't know, there's only a handful. The one like where you go down the caves and there's all the goblins running around, the particle effects with the fire. It's like those parts felt right. But then you're pushing your car along the side of the highway and it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, you run out of gas and you're like, oh shit.
Oh, not again. And then you don't level up till the end of the day when you're camping and you boost your stats and it's the bromance thing. I mean, there's no towns. The main town you don't even get to explore. There was so much wrong with it that it's hard to love it. It really is.
It did seem strange to me that there was like one big city, and then other than that, like once you hit a certain point, you're basically just running through like industrial type areas, and other than that, there's really not much to it. I haven't beaten it, but I have the whatever the special edition is or whatever on Steam, so I'm looking forward to playing some of the DLC. But I'm gonna go into it, with expecting it to be just all right.
Yeah, I think that's a fair one. You probably didn't pay full price for it either, did you?
No, it's very rare that
Yeah.
I pay full price for a game on PC because it's like I look on Steam and I scroll through sales. I don't even look at new games or anything. I always just go to the sale page.
You're a smart man. I think that has a lot to do with a lot of things. Is when you are an early adopter, when you buy things day one and you pay full price, you have certain expectations, and when those are not met, it hurts. It really does. It doesn't make you
Yeah.
feel good at all.
I did get Trials of Mana day one, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I'm gonna combine the next two together as just a one answer because I know that you really dig them and I want to know. So Grandia and Grandia 2.
Oh man, but you're not going to talk about Grandia 3. Okay,
Well,
that's fine.
I don't have Grandia 3. Sorry.
I don't think. Yeah, it's not on Steam. I don't think, is it?
No, it's not, or else I
No,
would have snagged it.
that's a shame. It's only on PlayStation 2. Grandia is, and this is no Chrono Trigger's right there too. I think it's actually maybe one of the best battle systems ever in a JRPG. That bar that goes along at all times, and your battle order is constantly changing. You can cancel things so easily. Enemies can cancel you. You could be going in a normal fight and lose in an instant, or you can dominate. Depends on how smart you are. And I appreciate systems like that reward you with just epic tales of world grandeur and this overarching evil that's impending. But
Totally.
it's all about the battle system and the music. I just felt like those games were really, really complete experiences, and we really need another one.
Yeah, I have read nothing but good things about Grandia and Grandia 2. I even watched, like, when I saw that they were on sale, and I think I might have snagged those off GOG and have them on GOG. I don't really remember. I'd have to look because it's been so long. But I watched on YouTube, there's a guy that's Super Derek, I think is his name.
Yeah, Super Dark RPG. Yeah.
Yeah. And I watched his little reviews on Grandia, and they looked really fun.
Yeah, those were a really good port. The only thing I hated those was I had to pick them up digital, and I'm a physical collector, and now Limited Run is going to put out a physical edition of it, of course.
Of course, now that you've already owned it.
Yeah, I've owned it for a year, so now it comes out.
That's how I felt when I finally bought a Switch, and then like 2 months later, they're like, "Oh, hey, this new Switch that's better is coming out," and I'm like, "Son of a bitch."
Well, the Switch, the Lite?
No,
Okay.
they released like they I don't know, they just did something where it's like the battery lasts longer and everything.
Oh, yeah, it was just a new model, basically.
Yeah.
They
So
fixed.
I still have one.
They didn't fix the Joy. They didn't fix the Joy Cons, but hey, here you go. It's a better system.
Man, Ryan, I feel kind of bad I didn't send you this list too, so you could like read off some of these because I know you're kind of just.
I don't know any of these games anyway, so have fun.
The next ones I have lined up together, I'm gonna combine into one because I'm not sure how familiar you are with this series, James, but the Hyperdimension, the Neptunia series.
Oh, I know this one.
You probably know more than I do, Ryan. Honestly.
Ryan's experience with this is the second game we ever covered, which was the Action Unleashed version, which was like more of an action game than the original Neptunia series is.
It was a hack and slash, which was fun.
It's funny because I listened to you guys that podcast, and I kept thinking like I would not have as much fun with that one. I am turn based by standard. I love that battle system the best, and I did play the one on Vita. I've got a few hours, probably. It's good. Like it's quirky. Like I enjoy the humor of it more than anything else, and then the system was pretty fun. I think about that time is when. We were moving, and I ended up losing my Vita for a while.
Yeah,
I only recently found it again, so maybe one of these days I'll pick it back up. But
I know the original 3 came out on PS3, and people kind of were like, meh, they're all right, but they were very niche. And then they released the remakes, the Rebirth is what they called it, the series for 1, 2, and 3 for Vita, and those are much better, and those are the ones that got ported to PC.
Okay, I think that's what I've got. Yeah.
And I was telling Ryan that just be ready because once we get to those, they're turn based. It's completely different than the hack and slash game.
It's turn based, but it's got the little fields of attack that you can get into and move around. And I thought it was a good battle system. I really did.
All right, so next up is one that I don't know if any of us know what it is. Moro Chronicle.
Oh, I do only because I've covered it for the podcast. It's a bit adult, I believe. Is
I was gonna say, is this one of the more adult games that's on there? Yeah.
I couldn't share many images. Put it that way.
Okay.
It doesn't look bad by any stretch, but yeah, it has got some mature things. It's coming for the Switch, or it is on the Switch right now.
Yeah. I know that I actually removed a game from our list that I didn't want to have to make Ryan play just because Hoonie Pop.
Okay.
Which I didn't want to do that to him because I didn't want like his girl to walk in and be like, "The fuck are you playing? And why are you playing a match 3 game to see naked women? What are you doing?"
That would probably be my reaction. It's like, what the fuck is this game? Like,
I knew as soon as there's a couple games on this list that I know that as soon as I'm like, all right, this is the game we're playing, I'm gonna get a message like Dalton.
I was
what
just
the fuck?
over here. I was just over here internally thinking, it's like, what do they mean by mature themes? Is it nudity or is it like graphic violence? Because we already played Corpse Party, and
No, this is
that
nudity.
was fucking brutal. Like,
This is naked anime girls, man. Naked anime girls.
Very not often at all, if ever, do you get a whole lot of violent stuff in the JRPGs. It's more of it's fine in Japan nudity, but oh no, can't have it in America.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that game. You guys know Shadow Elite? Does YouTube stuff? He's a big JRPG guy.
No, but I'm gonna have to look him up because I love all
Yeah.
things JRPG. So.
Yeah, definitely give him a listen. He's on another podcast, and they asked that question. It's like, what game, would you be embarrassed to play in front of somebody? And he's played a bunch of them. He's a big anime type of guy, and that was the one game that he mentioned. It's like, I didn't even know what was going on. It was so weird.
I love it. All right, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch.
The original, the best. I say that's actually the best PlayStation 3 game on the system.
Really?
In my opinion, and it's funny because it does have quote unquote Pokemon elements to it with the monster battling, which I despise.
Yeah. You were not.
I'm not. Well, they did it good because you've got 3 party members and each one has their familiar stuff. That's who they fight with, but so you still control your members while the ones are auto battling. So it doesn't you're not just throwing one monster out there to fight a bunch of people. It's got a lot of strategy to it. But Studio Ghibli fully embraced that game, and it's like watching an anime at times. It pulls on your heartstrings. It pulls you into this world. It just doesn't let go until the ending credits, and I think I've platinum like 8 games, just not very many at all. That's one of them, and it took me about 200 hours to do because I just loved it so much. Wow. You get 98% of the platinum in about 100, and then you got to do this one stupid thing with like crazy low percentages of doing it, and it takes you forever. But I had to have it.
Yeah, man. There's certain games like I told Ryan that I'd really like the platinum. Arkham Asylum at some point, just because I really liked that game. It won't take me near as long as 200 hours, my goodness, but
I mean, the game takes you 100 to beat anyway. That's a genre that I enjoy, so it's not.
That's true. So how do you feel about Ni no Kuni 2?
I mean, it's when you love a game, I think so much, no matter what that sequel does, it has to top that. So if it falls short, and especially if it changes it went to much more of an action RPG system without much, they got the higgledies in there that kind of help you, but it focused on the characters and their action. A lot of people actually like that. I did not. They did not have a direct involvement from Studio Ghibli. It was rather just some people who had worked with the first game.
Yeah.
And you could tell the difference. Graphically, obviously, a new system. It looked better, but it didn't feel better. And they took a long game, had about a 20-hour game of story, added a bunch of crap in there to make it longer, with the town building and the big army mock battle things. It was a train wreck. Like, none of it really pulled you into anything. I beat it just because, but I had no desire to go back and play that game ever again.
I got you. Yeah. So my first experience with Ni no Kuni was the second one on PS4, and I played some of it. I didn't never get very far in it, but I was like, "Oh, this game's pretty cool. I'll come back to it when I'm done with Persona," and never did. But now that I've got both of them on PC, I have read everywhere that I need to play the first one to really enjoy it, but I read play the second one before you play the first one. That way, you don't judge the second one by the first one.
Absolutely, and they've got a few little nods to each other, but you don't have to play the first one to play the second one, unfortunately.
I got you. All right, so I'm gonna skip over a couple because now that I'm looking at them, I'm not exactly sure that they're JRPGs, but so
is the Legend of Zelda in there?
no, it was actually Nier Automata.
It is, but I own it, but I haven't played it yet.
I got you. Persona 4 Golden.
The Golden, right?
Which fucking hooray for being on Steam! Yay!
You've got. I mean, like I said, I assumed that you were going to just bump that one up the list and play it immediately.
I wanted to. I wanted to.
I respect you for not manipulating the randomizer. So I'm old school. I played Persona 4 when it came out on PlayStation 2. Loved every minute of it. Bought a Vita to play Golden because, well, I mean, the Vita is just a JRPG dreamscape. It's got everything. But that game, the best-selling game on Vita, that's really all you need to know about how good that game is.
That was the whole reason I wanted a Vita. I wanted a Vita just so I could play Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah, you need it. They definitely did good on the PC port. I'll probably end up getting it a third time, but I liked elements of 3 better, and ultimately 5 is a better overall game. But some of the things they do in 4 are just so well done. I really couldn't say much more about this. It is a top tier JRPG.
All right. Have you played? So the next 2 on the list. Have you played the Record of Agarest War? Any of those games?
Another one that sits on my shelf, and I haven't can't play them all. You know.
Yeah, I got them and haven't loaded them up, which is what I've done with a lot of these. Grab them when they're on sale and never touch them.
Yeah, I think I got it for a couple of bucks in a bin one day, and I'm like I said, I'm a collector, so I'll have to do it in the collection.
Saga, Scarlet Grace, I believe it's called. Have you heard of this one?
Yeah, I haven't played any of those actually. There's a couple of them, but no, haven't. It looks cool because it looks kind of like old school Final Fantasy 3, so it looked like something right up my alley. Same art design and everything, but obviously not the story elements.
Yeah. I know this next one you're gonna have something to say about the remake of Secret of Mana.
Oh God, why?
Because
GameStop thought they had a cash cow, didn't they?
Yeah. I remember I was so excited. I was like, man, I always heard good things about Secret of Mana. I'm gonna play this, and I got it on PS4. I was like, oh, what the fuck? Why? What is this? And I got it on PC just because it was stupid cheap, and it just added to the list of games to play. But yeah, I don't know. Give me your thoughts.
So, Secret of Mana, all time one of my favorites. It's good because it just goes in that world, and there's no cheesy voice acting like in the remake, so you don't have to deal with that. But Mana was so special because it had 3-player multiplayer. So you and your buddy or your brother could play that game. AI would control the other one, and you went into this awesome world. And so they make this remake, and I knew from the first time I saw that game, and then I heard the voice acting, I was like, nope, hard pass. I'm not going anywhere near that. They are not getting one penny from me for doing this to this game.
Hard no, bud. Hard no. All right. Yeah, I figured that was going to be your reaction to it, but I wanted to ask anyway.
How dare they? That's
All right. I don't want to keep you for too long, so I'm going to shorten this up a little bit. I got 3 more games because I can't really combine them into one, and then I have a series that I can combine into one. So the first, Tales of Berseria.
Berseria is excellent. It came after Tales of Zestiria, which I didn't actually love. Again, one of those ones I played through till the end because I played most of the Tales games. Berseria righted all the wrongs of the previous one. Still had all the modern graphics and storytelling, but went back to a little bit more of the mechanics that made those games so good. Not quite all the way back to like Vesperia or any of those, more classic styles. A lot of people actually didn't like this one. But then a lot of people liked Zestiria, so I can't. It's hard to necessarily understand what some people are thinking. The best thing I can say about Berseria is it's nearly almost always on sale. It went to greatest hits, so it's $20 even brand new right now.
Wow, that's
And
not bad at all.
no, it is worth every penny. It's a good long action RPG. It's got a really funny cast of characters in it. Unfortunately, it does wrap up the story arc that was told from the previous game, so some of the things would make more sense if you had played both of those. But I think, it definitely stands on its own as one of the better Tales games, in my opinion.
All right. Well, then after that, we got Symphonia.
Tales of Symphonia. Okay, so that's where I come into the Tales games at for the GameCube when it originally came out. I hadn't even heard of Tales of before that. A lot of
people had.
Well, it was definitely one of those ones that on the PlayStation, it saw limited amounts come out for it. So I don't think I even saw the game in stores, to be quite honest. Maybe people in larger cities might have, but growing up in smaller towns, that's not something I got exposed to. But Symphonia came in, and it's like, it's so funny because if you go back and look at it now, it is slow. Like, it is a very, very slow battle system. You're waiting around for quite a bit. But it's got a really good story. The characters are well done. The art style is very classic, GameCube, PS2 era. Whatever you do not play the sequel, Dawn the New World. That came out for the Wii, and it should have never even saw the light of day.
I feel like that tends to happen a lot with JRPGs. Like, they release a really good one, and they want to cash in on it. Like, what is that, Final Fantasy IV, The After Years? I've heard mixed things about that, and it's like, was it really needed? No.
This was much the same way. They took the cast and had each one of them be a cameo in it for a minute, but the 2 main characters that they brought into it were just awful. You end up, your party, usually in Tales games, you have a party of 8 people to choose from. In the new one, you had 2, and then you made monsters into the rest of your team. It was just dumb. They should have never done that one.
Well, that leaves with the final Tales game on our list, which is Vesperia.
Vesperia, I did not experience when it first came out because I didn't have a 360, and it wasn't until just recently that I got to experience, and I have long heard that it's the best. It's hard for me to disagree with them after finally playing it now. For me, it's between that and Abyss, but they do a lot of things right with this one, and it's so good that I bought it when it first came out on the Switch, and I just picked it up again for the PS4 so I can play it again. It's probably the best example of a great story, battle system, conclusion, all those things wrapped up into got enough of the old school, but still enough of the new stuff, and then this definitive edition of it definitely umps the graphics and gives you all the stuff that you wanted.
Yeah, I never got a chance to play it until it came out for Switch and PC and all that. And I remember when I bought it, I took a picture of the loading screen for it and sent it to my buddy Nathan. And Nathan was like, "Oh, I lost 300 hours of my life to that game. Have fun."
I didn't do that. I don't see how you would have put that much time into it unless you played it multiple times. But
I think he did that and crafting and running around and leveling up. I don't know. There's no telling.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll wrap it up. Oh, actually, I'm going to cover this one before we go into the wrap up. Trials of Mana. Have you played the remake? Did you get a chance to play it yet?
Not yet. I keep nearly pulling the trigger on it, and I just can't do it quite yet. I know you hold that one in pretty high regards, and I played like 5 hours of the demo. I enjoyed it greatly. Like, I really want to pick it up. I've been kind of holding off right now. Probably not till after Cold Steel 4. I wrap up with that, then I'll probably pick up on it. Did you ever get a chance to play it yet?
So I played some of the demo, and then I played maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours after where the demo had left off, and then I started this show and haven't touched it since.
Well, what excuse do you have? Good grief.
But you gave me a great lead-in, because speaking of Trails of Cold Steel 4, the final thing I want to ask you about is the Legend of Heroes series.
Oh man. So I came in the door on Cold Steel. I had not played the Trails in the Sky series beforehand, and of course there's two other ones. They call them the Crossbell Saga. Those have not been localized.
Yeah, they're
So
Japan only still, correct?
Japan, for now, they just came out with them again on PS4, so there are hopes that we'll get that one finally so it can complete. So you're in total, you're talking about a 9-game arc that we have only got a handful of them. So I played Cold Steel 1, 2, and 3, and I'm now going through and I'm playing Trails in the Sky, the first chapter at this moment. I wish I could have played them in order. I would highly, now that I'm doing it, I would recommend that if possible, but don't not play any of the games. Definitely, if you're going to start, do Cold Steel 1, 2, and 3. Don't just get a Switch and pick up Part 3. I think that's a mistake. It's better than nothing, but it is certainly a series that you want to play in order. As that story, I've said it a couple of times, it's a snowball, and it keeps going downhill and getting bigger and bigger and crazier. The endings to these games will just leave you screaming, and you're lucky now. People who would play Cold Steel right now, get on the floor and play them, don't have to wait in between series. That's all I'm going to say is the endings to these games, the wait was excruciating. But I could not give a better example of a fantastic turn-based battle system. Great characters. There's a lot of reading, so if you don't like to read, and if you are a little iffy, I think we're so spoiled with Final Fantasy VII Remake, and everything is voice acted.
Yeah.
The world does not work like this. Okay. There is too much text in that game, but for the most part, the voice acting is phenomenal in these ones. And like I said, all these characters, there's so many characters. So after all this 9 games, the 10th game is being made in Japan to be made soon. And the active roster is going to be about 50 people to choose from.
Jesus
That's what's
Christ.
Yeah. So in a short of Suikoden, I mean, you do not get parties that size. Or Chrono Cross, there's very, very rare that you're dealing with anything that level, but
Yeah,
that's how many. Those are the worlds that are combining into the new ones. It's basically be called like the end game of the Avengers. That all these people are coming together, and even in Part 4, we're getting a good taste of that. But yeah, don't. If you are any sort of JRPG fan, if you not play the Cold Steel, go on to Steam and get the Trails in the Sky first.
Yeah,
but
totally.
then if you've only got a PS4, then Cold Steel is your boy. Don't miss on that one.
Now, I know that you started Trails in the Sky when I kind of had messaged you and we were talking about it, and I was like, dude, I'm really enjoying this game. Like there's something, I don't know if it's campy or homey about it, the graphics and the way it looks, but like when I'm playing that game, I'm just in a good fucking mood, man. Like, it just makes me happy. And I told Ryan when we started this show, if I had one trump card for this entire thing, like one thing that I can be like, no, we have to play that in order, is if we have a Legend of Heroes game come up in the cycle, then I want to do that, but I want to play those in order. Like, if that's the only series that we play in order on this show, I want it to be that, because I know the story continues throughout the entire series.
Yeah, that would really suck if you got picked like second chapter and had to play it first. That'd be stupid. No, don't do that to yourself.
So like that's the one thing on the show that when we pull Legend of Heroes, I want to play them in order. Other than that, throw you know, throw Serious Sam 4 at me before we play 3 and 2. Like those types of games don't really matter as far as storyline continuancy. But
They really don't. But I agree with what you're saying with Trails in the Sky. I've not enjoyed, because it's kind of like playing a pretty PlayStation 1 game.
yeah, basically.
On Steam, like, it looks so good. That enhanced Direct 8 version of it looks really, really good. They cleaned up a lot. Originally, like, it came on the Vita, and it looks good, but it definitely showed its age quite a bit. There's no voice acting in it, so it's all textury. But yeah, it's that familiar, like, going home to mama's and that home cooked meal type of feel in a video game. I don't know how else to describe it. It is so well done, and I'm getting near the end of it, so hopefully I will hopefully I'll be able to get through these 3 before Cold Steel. I don't know at this point. It's not looking good.
Well, that pretty much covers what I had, man. I mean, the other games I have is the Ease series, and I know you're not super familiar with Ease from our conversations.
Old Wise? Yeah, I don't know those games.
Old Wise, yeah.
I do remember the first time I saw that in the video store. It was like, why is that Y''S? Well, that's a dumb name for a game.
Oh yeah, I was always like, even when I ordered Ease 8, I'm like, how the hell is it Wise? Is it Ease? Is it Yes? Is it some sort of dialect I don't understand? Like, what is?
Yes, all the above. I do plan to pick up Ease 8 at some point. You've told me enough about that one. It is on my list. It'll be there one day.
Oh yeah, dude, it's totally awesome. Well, I guess before we wrap things up, there's one thing that I have left to do, and James, if you will just sit with us here for a second, we have to draw the winner of our giveaway.
Ooh, exciting!
So let me have Steamy run some numbers here. And I'm going to take a break for a second because I forgot to open the app on my phone that has robot noises.
You give a topic. Talk to amongst yourselves.
Here we go. This is just going to be clipped out, I guess. All right, so Steamy. What's up, buddy? I don't know how well these are coming through the microphone or not.
Steamy sounds sick. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Okay. Then fuck it. I'm not gonna worry about that.
He got too long of a break. We forgot to charge him.
I'm gonna have to work on him, but he did give me a number, and that number tells me that our winner for our giveaway of Extinction is Sean McIntosh. All right, buddy. So, get with us on Facebook or Twitter, or I guess I can DM you since we're friends on Facebook, and I can get that over to you.
Congratulations, Sean!
Yes, congratulations. You win a new car. Just kidding. Just a video game code, but still. It'll be fun. And so Steamy's not feeling great, so I'm just going to have him show me what number we need. And it looks like the next number for our next game is going to be 490. So let me bring up the list and see what that is. And 490 seems to be the Talos Principle. The Talos Principle.
I have no idea what it is.
I've heard of this, but I don't know.
I can tell you guys a little bit about it. It was made by Crow Team, the guys that are behind Serious Sam. This is a graphically gorgeous game, and on Steam, it usually has like 2 different spots. It'll be like recent reviews and overall reviews. This only has one.
Oh,
for both of them. Like, it has recent reviews, and all reviews are both overwhelmingly positive. And that's with like 19,000 reviews. It's still overwhelmingly positive.
Oh, I thought you meant there was one review for it.
Just one review.
Oh.
It was the developer and said it was overly positive.
Oh my god, that would be fucking fantastic. But
that's like when you go and review your own podcast. 5 stars, best ever.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh no. No. There's 19,288 reviews. But then, GameSpot gave it a 9 out of 10, Eurogamer gave it a 9 out of 10, Gaming Trend gave it 100 out of 100, some fucking site
Oh, what? Okay, whatever. 100 out of 100. Give me a break.
it got a 5 out of 5 from somewhere else. So there's no telling. It's a puzzle game. That's what I do know. It's a puzzle game.
Okay, I guess you could do that then.
And it's more so, I think you're a robot. All I really know about it is like you're a robot, you wander around these levels and you have to solve puzzles almost like Portal in a way. But without the portal gun and such. So I don't know, but it should be hella interesting, man. With the reviews and stuff, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, it's got something worth merit, But
sounds like a good time.
I believe that we can go ahead and start wrapping this up. If you want to find us on Facebook.com/The Steam Machine Podcast or at Twitter @Steam_podcast. See, I got it right the first time that time. Underscore. Fuck you, Ryan. And that's where you can find us. James, please let everybody know where they can find you, my good sir.
Oh, that's pretty easy. JRPG Report on Facebook. We're on the Twitter as well. And YouTube, putting out daily videos of shenanigans, trailers. I do my podcast to make a video version. Not as sophisticated as your guys. I like this video stuff, but they have to look into that.
Yeah, it's something that Ryan was like, hey, we should do some video with this. And I was like, I've got a face for radio, but fuck it, let's do it. And since I know you're not going to do it, I'm going to plug it for you too. James also has a show on YouTube called Fishwax Show that is absolutely hilarious. I like it. It reminds me of like the working man's Good Mythical Morning. And
that was absolutely the inspiration without the pomp and stuff. Yeah.
I love it. I watch it every time it comes out. I listen to the JRPG Report every week and to the Sunday specials, and sometimes you might even catch me on the Sunday specials. So you never know.
I meant to ask you about that. It's been too long. You need to come back on, brother.
Yeah, man, for sure. We'll do it soon. Well, I guess that pretty much covers it, man. We appreciate you coming on, Mr. James.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, if we ever have another game that I can bash, I'll be glad to come back on.
Well, maybe next time it'll be like Grindy or something, so you can come back with some humbling, kind words.
It's going to be like, I love this game, but just for the sake of your show, fuck it.
That sounds like something I would say, yes.
Or what would be great is James comes on ready to like hype up Grandia. It's so good. And then me and you are like, what a piece of shit this game.
I give this the same score as I gave Corpse Party 3. Fuck it.
Oh, scores. Real quick, Final Fantasy VIII, I give it an 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5.
Yeah. And we know James gives it a -4 or something.
I'll be kind. I'll get a 5.5. Sure.
Okay. That's respectable.
Yeah.
Well, that about does it for this episode of a Steam Machine Podcast. He's Ryan, and he's Mr. James, and I'm Dalton, and we'll catch you guys later. Take it easy.